let's say I needed some photos for my wedding. What would be that process, and what would you say to me to help me understand how you work and how that day is going to be perfect for me? And booking you, of course. How would you say that process? What's your process?
So typically when a client contacts me, it'll be like through my website. I'll receive a contact form. So unless I have met people in person, like just passing, like, hey, I'd love for you to do my wedding. First thing I always do is see if I'm available. Because I hate making a connection with someone and then I'm not available, and then it's heartbreaking for both of us. So on the more strategic bookkeeping part of it, let me see if I'm available. The second point is I'll send you my pricing guide, because I want to make sure, and I always tell my clients this, look at my prices. If your budget doesn't work for this, let's talk about it. Because I value the story that's being told, and I value that connection. And so if we can work together, I do want to work together. So let me know if you have any questions, any concerns. Feel free to talk to me, call me at any point. And I would love to talk about budget. After that, if we get past that point and we're ready, that's when I start to discuss about what they envision their day as. Right. What do you see? What do you want? What is your dream? Let's talk about that. And then from there, I let them know, this is my job. I'm putting all of me into this. So anything you need, you let me know. And we're going to make this experience exactly what you want it to be. Kind of going through that and letting them know that they are my number one priority. I tell all of my wedding clients this. So sometimes I have to go out of town. Sometimes it's for business. Sometimes it's personal. And I'll post on my social medias letting everybody know, like, hey, I'm out of town. I'll answer all emails on Monday. I always contact my wedding clients and, like, if you need something, ignore that. Call me, text me. Like, this is your story and this is what we're working on. This is a big day that you're going to remember forever. So if you need something and I'm out of town, text or call me. Just ignore that message, because it is that important to me. I want to make sure that they understand how important it is to me, because it is a big thing. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of money that goes into it. And so I want to make sure that they understand what they're paying for, and the value is there. I value them and their story so much. So kind of reassuring them over time, because with planning a wedding, you get so overwhelmed with everything. I've never planned one, but I've been around it for a long time, and you get overwhelmed with it. It's a lot going on. So the last thing you need is your photographer not being there for you and answering those questions. And kind of almost as a wedding photographer, you have to anticipate what they need in a way, because sometimes they have no idea. So for me, I always like to make sure they know that my goals are whatever their goals are, and vice versa.
So like
that may have not answered your question.
No, you did. It did. So like, do you often? I heard you say like call me and text. Do you set like certain days to call them? Like, do you call them like every 2-3 months in advance?
So
or just,
for that, I like to also give them their space.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bother them too much. So say you book me for your wedding, and your wedding is a year and a half away.
Right.
We're going to see each other for that initial booking. We're going to see each other for your engagement session. We're going to see each other for a consultation before your wedding, and then I'll see you on your wedding day. And then between, we'll have communication. If you have questions, let me know. I open that door for them so they feel free to. And if they don't have to, because not everyone wants to have someone, bothering them constantly. Like, what about this? What about this? So I open it, let them know, open that door, say, if you need anything, come to me. That way there is that open communication, and they're going to talk to you just as much as they want to, and not you messaging them, checking on them, that kind of thing.
And that's a lot of work. A lot of people don't understand, being an entrepreneur, that it takes time. A lot of time for stuff to work, and it takes a lot of energy. And on that side, that's a character thing that you got right there. That's why I would say. But let's talk about on the creative side.
Yeah.
So let's say, how do you like, what inspired you on the creativity side? Like, do you see other people's work and you just take pieces from different people's work, or you just shoot so much and be like, you know what? I think this will look good. Like, where you get your creativity from? Like,
For me, when I first started, I was most inspired by movies, films, that and music. I visualize music a lot.
Yeah.
I love music a lot. If you ever talk to me, like, music is in my heart and in my soul. But films and music, I think were originally the driving factor for my creative side of how I shoot. When it came to different angles and how they did that and how they did this. And then as time went on, you start to develop your own eye for what you want to see. So one thing that I have always done, and I teach when I have mentor sessions, to kind of give yourself that creative edge, is a lot of times when you're going to take a photo, and a natural eye, someone who doesn't do it for a living, is going to think on more of like a 2D, 3D plane. So like when you look at something, you view those 2 dimensions or those 3 dimensions, because it is real life.
Right.
It's not a piece of paper. But when you realize that it's actually a 360, like as in the amount of perspectives you can get when you visualize it as a sphere.
Yeah.
So you're subject in the center of that sphere.
Yeah.
Every point on that sphere is a different perspective.
Yeah.
And so the possibilities are limitless. When you imagine it that way, I think that's one thing that's helped me a lot, is there's a limitless amount of ways you can take a photo of someone. So think about that, take that into consideration, and the perspectives and what all out there you can do. And I do that typically when I'm looking at a subject, and so all the time I'll be visualizing something and I'm looking off to the side in my mind thinking of it, and my clients are like looking behind me, like, what is she looking at? And I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm just visualizing this right quick. But I visualize that sphere around them and think about all of the points in there that are a possibility. And then add into that the lighting factor. What are our different lighting options? How can we use this light to create or provoke an emotion? What are the possibilities there? That's something that I constantly am thinking about, is, I could take it this way, or I could take it this way. So kind of working through that and knowing that you can do it a million different ways.
I was gonna say, this is my twin, because this is exactly how I think of them. Like exactly how that would inspire me too. Movies. Like, I don't compare myself, not knocking any other videographer, but like, I look at movies and they wonder. I only been doing this 2-3 years, and they wonder how I grew so fast. Like, I compare myself to the top-notch movies. Like, how did they get their shots? And I do the exact same thing when I take pictures. I look all over the place, and I have to tell them, like, don't mind me. I'm trying to find the next shot. I'm looking what I want to go to next, and after that. And I do the exact same thing. But I never thought of it as that sphere. Yeah. That's like more detail. And this is exactly why I wanted you in here.
Well, you think about the different planes of, I don't know, existence, I guess, of someone standing there. And so when I first started visualizing as that like 360 possibility, I mean, my work changed completely because when you try everything, like starting out, I tell everybody, try everything. If you think it's going to be weird, try it anyways. Try it anyways. But also thinking about the 3 levels of a photo. So you have your foreground, your subject, and your background. And implementing those, thinking about all 3 of those at the same time while thinking about that sphere and the angle and the light, and you can create something just breathtaking.
And so we talked about you being inspired by people. So is there anything else that inspire you?
For me, when I think about why I do things, I think that's like the main inspiration for me is my why, and that 1,000% is just going to be people in general. So, and that kind of goes back to the why I haven't niched down and why I shoot all of these things. But people inspire me to a level that is like insane. When I look at someone, I can find just the most. I find that everyone has something to offer in their who they are. That sounded very jumbled up, but I'll get to it. So for me, I have always loved people a lot. Like, I'm inspired by them. I love how we work, and I think it's so interesting how a human, works, how the brain works, how we function. And I think about a lot how we are who we are and why we are who we are and how we got to be that way. And so when I think about photography and I think about what is that inspiration and what brings in that creativity, when I photograph a person, I'm thinking more about how to amplify who they are. I've had lots of clients ask me like, oh, can you edit this? Can you do this? And for me, I have no problem editing something out that has nothing to do with who you are. So like if you have acne, that's not who you are. I don't mind doing that at all. But when it comes to changing the way someone looks, I will not do it. I have can't do that. Because my job is not to, make you look like something that you're not. My job is to make you feel beautiful in your own skin, like show you how beautiful you really are. That is my goal. And that, like I said, I'm so inspired by people when I look at the world, I'm a people watcher. That sounds really strange, but I love to watch people. I love to see how they work. We go through so many different things and we will never be able to understand what everyone goes through. And when you sit there and think about, I'm sitting in this chair right now doing this podcast, living my individual life. I have these own things going on in my head. I have these own things going on in my personal life. And then you think about, you're the same way, and then there's thousands and millions of people that are the same way. When you think about that individuality, it really puts into perspective that everyone is so unique, and that right there in itself pushes me. That's why I do what I do. I love meeting new people. It has made some of my most creative shots that I'm most proud of possible, and so I love being able to give that experience and have a client leave a session saying I've never felt more comfortable, I've never felt more confident. And my favorite comment is, I didn't know I looked like that. Raw image on the back of the camera, wow, I didn't know I looked like that. When you have create that connection and you're genuine about it, it will change the game for real. You can do as many things as you ever imagined you could, and that is my main goal at every shoot, is to make sure that everyone knows how beautiful they really are and let them know. It breaks my heart when I have someone say oh, well, can you change this about me, I don't really like this, and I'm I'm really sorry, but just let me see the finished product. I think you're gonna love it. And then they get them back and they're like, what? I had no idea that I could look this way. I didn't know that I did look this way. And I'm that's all you. That is all you. And when you have that conversation and that connection and someone's comfortable, they shine. They really do. For me, I've always struggled with confidence, and behind the camera is where I am most confident. So I typically don't talk to a lot of people, and in public situations I'm very quiet, but I love talking to people. And if it's in a one-on-one situation, you're going to want me to shut up because I'm not going to stop talking because I'm so interested in everyone's lives and how they function, and I'm so inspired by what they've been through and how they've gotten to where they are. So for me, definitely a big driver in my creativeness and how I stay inspired is just people in general. I absolutely love them.
And that's what makes a photographer a photographer. You see the different perspectives and you make them realize God, I look amazing. And you are, you know. And we have a lot of beautiful people in this world. And I actually experienced that a couple of times. And I had to just be nah, you fine. I had to just let them know you okay. And then I had the same experience where they that's crazy. It's amazing how you took that where I felt weird or whatever I was doing, but that photo was my favorite photo. And I'm practicing the same way with people. I grew up trying to understand people. That's one thing that my mentor told me. Understand people, understand them, see what makes them tick, see what they want to talk about. And so I think I started that journey, I know at least 3rd, maybe 4th grade.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I find conversation to be so important.
It is.
Because that's the only way you're going to get to know someone is through conversation. And conversation, holds so much weight when it comes to your connection and your relationship with someone. And so even having a conversation with a stranger, you'll understand them a little more, and then you understand a little bit of the world a little more. So talking to people I love doing it, but you won't see me doing it in a public, like if it's like a party or something, I'm in the corner real quiet.
Yeah.
But if I'm like walking in Walmart and there's someone right there, I'm like, oh, hey, let's have a conversation.